Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of CCFR Radio on the Air. I'm your host, Rod Giltaka. Thanks for joining me again. We have an action-packed episode for you as usual. We've got an update on our It's Raining Guns contest. We also have an update on our big project that we're rolling out. When Tracy comes on, we're going to talk a little bit about the shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. A lot of us still have a lot of questions when it comes to what happened there. Also, the Canadian Firearms Program had a massive data breach. And if you're a gun owner, that's your data that was ended up in the wrong hands. And apparently it happened years ago, and there's just information surfacing now about it. Interesting. And we're also going to talk about the bizarre moose attack that happened in Saskatchewan. Anyway, all that and more. CCFR Radio starts right now.
CCFR Radio on the Air is brought to you by Wild TV Plus, the best hunting, fishing, and outdoor content available anywhere, anytime, on any device. Visit wildtvplus.ca.
All right, we are back now. I've only got two things to go over with you in this segment, and in the next two segments, we'll have Tracy Wilson on. But the first thing is an update about our big project that we've been talking about. I'm going to tell you what that project is because it's now delayed for a few weeks. It's delayed because of the shootings in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. And the project itself was a national television campaign. It's still going to happen, but just now's not the time for that, I guess you could say. So it was a national television campaign to share with Canadians why they shouldn't support this buyback and why what the Liberals have been doing to only licensed gun owners is inappropriate and won't have it's divisive, obviously, and it won't have any kind of positive impact on public safety. Even though there's no connection between our ad campaign and the subject matter that we're talking about and the shootings, it's just insensitive. And the networks feel the same way. So we've all agreed just to hang on to it for a couple of weeks, and then we will re-engage on that. So anyway, just wanted to let you know. Now, for something a little bit lighter, we were raising money for that campaign by rolling out the CCFR's It's Raining Guns contest. And that's where we're giving away 100 guns at random. And how you enter is you go to ccfr.ca, you donate $20 or multiples of $20. And for each $20 that you donate, you get a free entry into the contest. You have 100 chances to win a gun of all kinds of different types. So just so you know, businesses that have donated guns to the CCFR to make this happen are the Calgary Shooting Center, Ward and Buds Haynes Auction, Sterling Arms, Chippewa Trading Post, Odell Engineering, so Canuck Guns, Select Shooting Supplies, General Gun, SFRC, Reliable Gun Vancouver, Jost Arms, the CCFR, of course, Simply Berkeley, that's Justin over in Medicine Hat, Gagnon Sports, Stan's Plumbing Service in Ontario, thank you, Stan, Prophet River Firearms, of course, CATF, Canadian Access to Firearms, of course, all great people, Spectre Ballistics International, Magnus & Sons, YR Firearms, and the CCFR's General Counsel, Loberg Ector. Now, I'm just going to tell you really as quickly as I can. There is a wide variety of firearms. And as I've said a number of times, I can't go through 100 different firearms, but there's a lot of different 22s, some higher end 22s, some lower end 22s. There's a lot of shotguns, like Sterling Arms donated 40 magazine-fed pump-action shotguns. So pretty cool. And same thing with Odell Engineering, Canuck Guns donated 20 guns, right? So, and I think in third place is CCFR General Counsel, Mike Loberg of Loberg Ector in Calgary. They donated 10 guns. So there are a variety of different stuff. As I say, a lot of shotguns, a lot of 22s, but there's some really nice rifles, some nice bolt action rifles, and even a really beautiful lever action. So there are a handful of expensive guns and a lot of mid-range guns. So that's that. So again, if you want to enter that contest, donate $20 or multiples of $20 to the CCFR at ccfr.ca. Go there. There's a big pop-up to enter, or there's a button on the upper right-hand side, if memory serves me correctly, that says contest. For every $20 that you donate, you get a free entry into the contest. I'm going to be drawing all of these guns in one long video, one at a time, 100 guns. And we're going to post that on the internet. You can watch the whole thing and see if your name comes up. You have 100 chances to win. So anyway, if you've entered already, thanks so much for your support. Really appreciate it. We're going to show you what we're going to do with it, as I mentioned in the beginning of this segment. And if you've yet to enter, enter now. This contest closes on May 1st, 2026. So anyway, make sure you read all the contest rules before entering. And that's it for this segment. When we come back, Tracy Wilson and a whole lot more. All right, we are back and via the internet. We've got Tracy Wilson of the CCFR. Wilson!
Wilson! Hey, Gil Taka, what's going on?
Just the usual, man.
Yeah.
Total mayhem.
The usual is busy.
It is. It is. Well, speaking of busy, we have a lot of things to cover in this episode. We don't have a lot of time to do it, so let's just jump right in. Let's deal with the most uncomfortable topic first, which is the shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. I'm sure everyone that's watching this knows about the shooting. If you don't, there's a troubled teen in Tumbler Ridge. This teen had gotten a hold of firearms. At this point, by the time you're watching this, you probably know how it happened. But at this point, we had not received information from the RCMP how these firearms were obtained. This person shot some family members and then went to a school and shot some people there. So an unthinkable tragedy. Yeah, I don't even know how to find the words to describe it properly. But anyway, we have a bit of an update. So why don't you fill us in on that?
Yeah, that's right. So this is a small northern mining town, population like 2,400, very small town where everybody knows everybody's name. I got news this morning that the RCMP investigation into the shooting is complete. However, they have still not released those details, but I do believe that information should be forthcoming today or within a few days. So you're right. Probably by the time people are watching this, they will know more. But yeah, the shooter killed their mother and stepbrother at home, went onto the school, killed 6 people there, and then killed themselves. So just probably one of the most horrific tragedies, unimaginable grief experienced by this very small community. The Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition, as well as other party leaders and the local MP, our good friend Bob Zimmer, attended a memorial in the town. Very moving tribute to the victims and, of course, the survivors. There's people in the hospital fighting for their lives and a lot of injured people. But yeah, I don't think we'll ever really fully understand what causes somebody to do something like this. But at this time, we still have more questions and answers as we await the results of that investigation.
Yeah. So it's one of the things I think that we see is when a tragedy like this happens, I think most sensible people kind of step back and go, you know what? We all want answers, but we need to let police do their work, and we need to let things get resolved at some level for the people that have actually experienced this. This is not a political opportunity. This is an unthinkable tragedy. And unfortunately, right on the heels in less than 24 hours, we ended up seeing a Canadian press journalist decide that he alone wanted to turn the narrative to how this could help gun control. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of person, listens to an unfolding tragedy like that and sits down and the first words on paper are mass shootings have helped. But the story headline has changed multiple times over the last few days. It went from mass shootings have helped Canadian gun laws to change to mass shootings have helped prompt Canadian gun laws to change to mass shootings have prompted Canadian gun laws to change. It took him a few days to realize using those words together, mass shootings have helped, is completely inappropriate. But I have to accept that we're not all the same, because I could not in a million years imagine while this tragedy was still unfolding, the details are still not public. People are grieving. Things were not solved, right? To sit down and those were your first thoughts was, these shootings, these tragedies have really helped us do gun bans. I have to accept that we're not all the same, because that not in a million years would I think of that.
Well, that we're talking about Jim Bronskill of the Canadian Press, and it wasn't 18 hours till they released that story. But and then there was another journalist that works for the Globe and Mail, spreading misinformation or disinformation. That was Doug Saunders. And why don't you do just give us a 15-second description, because we got one more thing to cover this segment.
Yeah, he said all gun crimes, including the one that we're talking about, are committed using legally bought, possessed, and used firearms, which is demonstrably untrue. Of course, he's the international affairs columnist for the Globe and Mail. He got ratioed out of sight, and of course got community noted on X, which is a fact-checking tool. He eventually deleted the tweet, but left up a bunch of other ones, but just spewing complete nonsense, fake news, false information, with no consequences, of course.
Yeah. Anyway, I just would really love the media just to consider it part of their mandate, just to be honest and tell the truth. But anyway, I guess sometimes it's a little bit too much to expect. One I think positive experience out of this whole thing actually happened, which is I can't even remember when this happened before now, but you have the gun lobby and the anti-gun lobby agreeing about at least the area of where the failure in this situation happened.
Yeah, that's right. So this was in an interview with CTV Vancouver. They spoke to you for the pro-gun side and Wendy Sukier for the anti-gun side. Of course, she's our notorious lobbyist from the Coalition for Gun Control. And she agreed with us that we don't need more regulation or laws, that we've already got them and they need to be enforced. And she said, the laws are there, the discretion is there, the mechanisms are there. Maybe the resources need to be improved, but we've got the tools. It's whether or not we are prepared to use them. And that's something we've said all along. So if she's worried about the resources needing to be improved, maybe we should look at measures to not waste $750 million on a boondoggle and maybe focus them instead on root causes. So, yeah.
Well, I'm happy to agree with the anti-gun lobby. They just have to be reasonable. So, anyway, all right. We're out of time for this segment. When we come back, we have a couple of more interesting stories. So stick with us. All right, we are back now. As mentioned before the break, we've got a couple of really interesting stories here, and we're going to start off with one that is a little bit unexpected, but this one's been going on for quite a long time. The Canadian Firearms Program had experienced a data breach, and that data is the information on basically all gun owners, what they have, just everything, your address, everything. So anyway, why don't you fill us in on a little bit of the details?
Yeah, that's right. So this was a 2021 data breach. It was the largest RCMP data breach in history, and it affected some 2.2 million gun owners. Basically, if you were a gun owner in 2021, you're impacted. Now, the RCMP said they had implemented measures to notify gun owners. I remember hearing something about it, but it kind of went away. All they did was post a warning on their website when this happened, which was in March of 2021. They later deleted that warning in June. So they admit that they have no idea exactly what information was accessed or how it was used. They put a statement out. The government of Canada is investigating a possible ransomware attack incident on a private company that provides services to some federal departments and agencies, including the RCMP Firearms Program. Interestingly enough, that private company was never identified and is still being contracted by the federal government. So they're still employed. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, there's still risk because, as you had said before, someone had talked to the call center for the compensation program, and the person on the other end of the phone, who was probably an entry level worker working a call center, said, "Oh yeah, I've got all your information here, including your restricteds and all your," and it's like, who has this information? And the other thing I want to mention before we move on is this. When Gary Nandasangri, the current minister of buffoonery and public safety, he did the press conference when they opened up the buyback, as it were, the confiscation program, and he said one of the justifications for having to do this buyback is because there are around 2,000 firearms that are stolen every year in Canada, and inevitably some of them would be assault-style firearms. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You guys are the ones that leaked everyone's address, the guns they have that are registered, at least, all the rest of that stuff. then, presumably a bunch of these firearms, these homes are targeted, these firearms are now stolen, and that's a justification for the banning of these guns and spending $750 million trying to buy people's guns back, as it were. Like,
Yeah,
what?
totally crazy. Totally crazy. And you're right. Now the company they're using actually for the call center for the assault style firearms compensation program is Montreal-based international collection agency Gatestone. And I took a look at them. They've been contracted by many government agencies like Health Canada, Immigration, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars per year in contracts. So yeah, I wonder what safeguards are put in place for them accessing the information of gun owners. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's kind of
red
scary.
flags. Hmm.
Okay, let's move on. Now, there was this crazy story of a moose attack in Saskatchewan, and it was pretty severe. So why don't you give
Yeah.
us the synopsis of that? We got about 3.5 minutes left.
Okay, so you told me about this. You're like, oh, we'll talk about the moose attack. I'm like, what moose attack? I went and found the video of the interview. This was Sean Tufnell out of Saskatchewan and his mom, Angie. And he heard his mom shout for help. She was outside. He ran outside and she's down on the ground being attacked by a moose. He runs over, punches the moose in the face, fought him with a shovel, trying to get him off of his mother. And that worked. He grabbed a hold of the moose by the ears. The moose charged him into the doorway of the house, trying to ram him into the house, lifted him up, smashed him against the frame of the door, busted his ribs. Like this was a crazy fight with the moose. Anyways, when the moose was turning back towards the mom, that was it. Sean went at this moose, went berserk. He called for his mom's boyfriend inside the house to bring a gun, which he did. He shot the moose over a dozen times, killing the moose dead, saving his mother's life, his life. She was actually very seriously injured. In the interview, it was interesting. She said she's so grateful to her son for saving her life from this moose, and that he fought him like a total savage. So my only regret here is that they didn't have a Ring camera doorbell, because I would give anything to see that footage. It would be just insane.
Wow. That's quite
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah.
So just in summary, he punches the moose in the face. He
Yeah.
goes after him with a shovel. He wrestles him, and then he ends up shooting him to death. And before
him in the face.
anyone starts taking the side of the moose, as Canadians like to, they always like to side on the side of the criminal. The
Yeah.
moose had it coming.
He did.
I just want to settle that. And if you want to know what the Canadian gun lobby thinks, the Canadian gun lobby says the moose had it coming and he got what he deserved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What I want to know, was there moose steaks on the barbecue that night? That's
Yeah,
all I
and
want.
that would have been the ultimate revenge, hey?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But kudos to Sean. Like, bro, you fought a moose. You might be tough out there, but you're not as tough as Sean, fighting and punching a moose in the face, saving his mother's life.
Like, who would expect that to happen?
Right? Mm-hmm.
Who would
Why
have
does
ever
anyone
seen
need
that
a
coming?
semi-auto?
I don't know. Anyway, a crazy story. All right. We're running out of time, but I don't know if we can squeak this in. You had a conversation. We have less than a minute.
Okay.
So I don't know how we cover this, but you had a conversation with someone about the future of firearm advocacy should we lose another election.
Yeah, I was talking with my friend Sheila Gunn Reed, and she works for the Rebel. I did an interview with her. And after the interview, we were kind of just, shooting the breeze on Zoom while we were talking. And I was feeling down about losing the election and losing in court. And it's been tough, right? And I said, I don't know. I don't even know if there's going to be a role left for the CCFR if we go into another election and lose. And she said, that's when you're actually more needed, is during crisis, which we've only ever existed in. We've never had the luxury of existing under a friendly conservative government. But she said, if not you, then who will speak for gun owners? Like, we're going to need the CCFR more if we lose the next election than if we won. And I thought, okay, I will accept that. And it doesn't erase the way I feel about not winning for gun owners. But she's not wrong. Like, we promised we wouldn't give up, and we're going to just stick with it.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, but if at some point there will be another conservative government, and when that happens, there has to be a large organization that can support that government to start rolling things back and push that government to roll things back.
Yeah.
So there's a role there, but it's hard to see for we're regular people, right? So it's hard to see it right now. But anyway, I thought that was an inspiring story.
Yes.
Okay, so we're
that
way
part.
over on time, but that's okay. I appreciate the update, and I guess we'll see you in the next one.
All right. We'll see you then.
All right, we are back now. As usual, I only have you for 2 minutes. Seems to be always the way that it happens here at the end. What I wanted to do is I wanted to run down the list and mention all the businesses and individuals just one more time in this episode. I'll mention it in every episode after this too, at least once. Who stepped forward to donate guns to the CCFR's It's Raining Guns contest? As you know, we have a contest. We're giving away 100 guns in order to raise money for the CCFR in an upcoming election or that national ad campaign that I talked to you about in the intro. So when people step forward, whether they donate $5 or in the case of Sterling Arms, J.R. Cox donating 40 guns, people have to be recognized because that's when the rubber really meets the road, right? When people reach into their pocket and take something out and donate it. So I just can't tell you how much we appreciate that support. So if you know these businesses and you use them, tell them thank you for supporting gun owners. And if you don't, consider doing it because they're the ones that are helping you. So Calgary Shooting Center, Wards and Buds Haynes Auction, Sterling Arms, Chippewa Trading Post, Odell Engineering, they sell Canuck guns, Select Shooting Supplies, General Gun, SFRC, Reliable Gun Vancouver, Jost Arms, Simply Berkey, Gagnon Sports, Stan's Plumbing Service. Thanks, Stan. Prophet River Firearms, Canadian Access to Firearms, otherwise known as CATF, Spectre Ballistics International, otherwise known as Magnuson Sons, YR Firearms, and the CCFR General Counsel in Calgary, Alberta, Loberg Ector. So thanks so much to all of you for helping the CCFR. If you want to enter the It's Raining Guns contest, go to ccfr.ca right now. Donate $20 or multiples of $20, and you get one free entry for every $20 that you donate into the contest. The contest, we're drawing 100 guns. Contest ends May 1st. Make sure you read all the rules before entering. Thanks, everyone. Take care, and we will see you in the next one.